friends. Today we're going to try out a new format with the camera. So hello, I hope this is large enough, but I wanted to show you all the pen collection thus far, and even showing you this. It's not the whole collection, it's Grail pens and vintage pens and pens that mean a little more to me than perhaps the rest. And a number of these are inked, so we can look at that as it comes. But I want to start off with just unusual pens. They're not particularly sought after, mind you, especially not this one. What you're looking at is a Hongdian. I don't even remember what number it is, but it's just a simple black forest, I think is the name of it, Hongdian. And this is my first fountain pen. Cartridge converter, as you can see, and I added a little spring in there to agitate the ink if it happens to have high surface tension or whatever. It's difficult for the ink to flow sometimes. It's got a great snap to it. This will be ASMR style for those of you just interested in the regular. But yes, my first ever fountain pen. Now it's something like 8 months old, don't quote me on that. This one, you can see there's quite a bit of color, especially around here. There's some green, there's some purples. This is an Edison Pen Company with the Goulet Pen Company. It's got a nice little Edison mark there. This is also a cartridge converter, and I don't remember how many, but it was a special edition, and they are still available on Goulet pens, but they will not be making more of them. So once they're gone, they're gone. I think this is one of 300, and I got a number for it, but I saw the colorway, sometimes they call it, and I really, really wanted it. You can see also this Edison is rounded, also torpedo-ish shaped, which is cool. This Edison is flat on top, flat on bottom, and look at that color. Oh my goodness. And this one's actually written on in the old style. This is how they used to write on pens. This says Edison Pen Co. and Goldspot, another company I order from on occasion. Number 77 out of 88 produced. So it's rare, but it's not sought after, right? And this is Andromeda, this colorway is, I think, papillon, which is a fancy French word for butterfly. So now we have 3 pens that mean a lot to me. This is broad, by the way, and this is a double broad, the only double broad in my collection so far, but I can't see myself getting more. This is probably a medium, and I think, ooh, it's kind of shiny on the end there. I think it only comes in medium, the Black Forest Hongdian. I'm actually going to tuck those into my one-of-a-kind pen cup. I say one of a kind because it's with real wood, it's impossible to get this exact same burl pattern. And that's something that I really appreciate in these pens especially, is each of these colorways is a one of one. You will never find another Papillon with the same weird pink and green stripe right there. Very cool stuff. I love that about pens, pen manufacturing. Now let's move on. Briefly, this is a 1940s Esterbrook, and it is in, I believe, medium stub oblique. Wild. It's got a slight, maybe 15-degree angle to it for a right-hander, and you can see it is tiny in my hand. It is tiny. I have to post this one if I write with it, otherwise it just, look at how my hand eats the grip. But most of the time when I write in this loose, really loose configuration. So as long as there is enough pen there for me to triangle it, we're good. It's about as wide as a standard ballpoint, maybe just a touch wider, and it is lever filled. They replaced the sack inside, but look at how gorgeous that is. 1940s Esterbrook with an absolutely gorgeous quilted pattern. Chatoyance, I think they call it. I just learned that word today. I asked the AI, what is chatoyance, and it gave me a German word that means almost the same thing but doesn't sound the same. And then it presented me with the actual word that I wanted on an unrelated inquiry that we'll get to later. Anyway, 1940s. Let's go back even further. This is a 1930s Esterbrook. Also a lever filler, also with a replaced sack. And this is, if you can see it, do you see it split a little? Maybe not. It's very difficult to see. Anyway, this is a flex nib, and I don't know if I would call it semi-flex or flex, but it was designed actually to flex with our good friend the feed there. And so this plain black, otherwise looking Esterbrook, this was a dollar pen in the 1930s during the Great Depression. They produced dollar pens, which I guess were reasonably cheap at that time so that people could continue to buy good quality pens at a discount. Now this dollar pen cost me like $50 or $60 today. Talk about a markup. It might have been $100. What I really wanted was the flex nib. A vintage flex nib is rare. And nobody really looks for Esterbrook flex nibs because they're not wet noodles or whatever. Like, it's an extra fine that'll go up to a medium or a broad, and you can definitely see the flex. And it's very easy to flex because it's such a small nib. Anyway, this is another one that I have to post. 1945, what a year. Look at that. This is called golden pearl or brown pearl sometimes. Parker Vacuumatic. It's got a stiff nib on it. It might even be a manifold. Let me look. Yeah. Anyway, very, very good quality nib, right? And to fill it, you unscrew the end cap here. This is very Art Deco, isn't it? Very, very Art Deco. And you push this button, which actuates a little rubber, what should we call it? It's like a tube, a rubber tube inside that compresses the air and draws the ink up. And actually, in between each of these, it's not focused very well. Come on, focus, focus. It's not going to. Anyway, in between each of these golden stripes is actually a transparent stripe. And the great thing about this pen, I looked at a lot of these because I love this Art Deco. Yeah, you can actually see the alternating pattern down. You've got a layer of like golden and a layer of semi-transparent, so you can see the ink level inside. Very cool. Last, but certainly not least, and this one is inked. This is a 1950s Montblanc 264. 264. And Montblanc is definitely a prestige pen. And these others were mass produced. I really like them because they've lasted. Montblanc, I guess, was mass produced, but this is a semi-flex 14 karat nib. And you probably can't see it. Oh, you can. There's an ink window here. And it's completely clear all the way around, so you can see what color ink it is. I'll give you a little writing sample. With this one, let me move these off to the side and grab a little pad of paper. Let's see if we can actually hear it. Let me slide this forward a little to keep it in the frame. You can hear a little squeak. I've been told that's a desirable trait. The squeak, it's the nib singing on the page. This is one of my best performing pens. One of my best. And it was 1951 to 54 was the production. So a very limited run. 70 years ago? Almost 80. Or definitely 80. And it's got somebody's name engraved on it. Bussing, and I love that because it's bussing. Get it? Anyway, enough of that brain rot. So, I actually should put this somewhere else because this is inked. I keep it in the magic cup on my desk and use it. Now, I do take this one to work sometimes, and when I look down in my shirt pocket on the left side of my chest, I get a little thrill, like, yeah, I've got a Montblanc in my pocket. And not only that, it's like a 70 to 80-year-old Montblanc, and it writes really well, and I love it so much. Anyway, now we're getting to some modern Grail pens. Yes, Grail pens. I'll leave this one over here. Some of you probably already know what this one is. So let's start with, look at this. Look at how chatoyancy it is. The 3D effect. Ooh, ooh. But being pretty is not everything here. I am informed this is a limited special edition from 1998. This is Santini, Italia. They are a small batch manufacturer from Italy, as you probably could tell with the Italia. Now, the fun bit, this is a piston filler. This is a twist knob for that. But the fun bit is, not that we'll get a focus. Oh, you can kind of see it. This is an architect. This pen is extremely rare, and I got it for like $350 on eBay. $350 American dollars, and it's worth 1,200 euros. I got it for a steal. Plus, having the architect nib. Yeah, they said something like 50 to 300 were produced. And it's the rarest Santini Italia model that collectors are actually looking for. So I am extremely, extremely fortunate that I got the Santini Italia Libra special edition. Oh, limited edition. And the architect nib was mostly because I didn't have one and I wanted to try it out. But this is the first architect nib that has actually worked for me. I bought a number of other cheap ones and they were garbage. One of them I even custom ground some more off the sides to give it a thinner up and down, and it was still garbage. But this is a treasure, which I just found out about today as I was doing some research. Now this one you will recognize. Yes, it's another Montblanc. This one's a 146. And some of you, if you are collectors, will note the cap bands are a little different. And if you can see the ink window is a little different. That's because this is a late 80s, early 90s Montblanc 146. And this one is inked. I'm maybe going to get a 149 in the future, but this 146 fits pretty well in my large hands. I've been having a little trouble. I think the tines are too tight, but I'm not 100%, so I have a little trouble with this starting sometimes, so I just what is special about this pen is it was made right around my birthday, when I was born, birthday. And I love Montblanc having sharper edges. It's not completely round like a lot of modern pens. They still use it almost stub-like. Well, it is stub-like. Almost stub, I should say. Because of the sharp edges on the sides. It's very precise. German. I love German precise machines. And this one is no exception. Speaking of German, sorry for the echo here. Let me mute this for a sec. Okay. Speaking of German, it's a brand new Pelikan M800 in cream and blue. Now you can't quite get a full view of the blue. This one's inked as well. Two-tone nib, 18 karat. And this one has a little bit of flex to it, like the, where did I just put that? The 1950s Montblanc is, I would call, a semi-flex. And the 1980s to 90s Montblanc also has a bit of flex, but a bit less. This one has a bit more flex, and you can see there is an ink window, and it is indeed inked. Yeah, you can see through it. Anyway, this was one of the prettiest pens I saw when I was going through Goulet pens, and I just favorited and saved to my my look at later. All of the pens that caught my eye, and this one was on there, and as soon as I saw the price on Goulet, I immediately removed it. But I was still like, man, the cream and the blue with the gold accents look really good. The Pelikan is staring at you right now, by the way. I see you. Anyway, so we got that, and I got it on eBay. Give a little more space here. I already did that one. I'll put that back. This one sings a little bit too. That was the worst bee I've ever done in my life. I bring shame to my ancestors. John Hancock is looking down from heaven and shaking his head in disappointment. This is abroad, and please forgive my bee. It is obnoxiously bad. I think I forgot to dot the I as well. Oh, I sure did. Yes. can see, probably, that the lines are a lot more round on this one than they are on this one. The edges are sharp on this one. And you get a little extra line variation on both of the Montblancs than you do on this one. Again, the Montblancs have a stub-like quality. And this one is inked, so into the cup it goes. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can get a decent view. This is a Ban A, or Ban A. It's a Japanese manufacturer that does not exist anymore because they retired. And they produced a lot of pens for Denitrio. Now, I thought I might have had a dud because it's a little uneven, but it turns out that's the hand workmanship. This is an urushi pen with gold flakes. I don't know if the gold flakes are real. However, if they are real, that's a heck of a lot of gold flakes. But the urushi lacquer was the main attraction for me, and it has a very, very stiff 14-karat nib that I am told was hand-tuned, but I'm not sure. It looks a lot like a Pelikan, and they did go through a Pelikan phase because it's got the hook, the flat hook down onto the ebonite feed. Triple track ebonite feed. So I think this was actually a Pelikan because I own a Pelikan 3776, and this is exactly how that nib feels in the hand. So I think that's what happened. The nib grinder retired first, and then the urushi lacquerer retired, and the company closed its doors. But I've been informed that this is worth a lot of money to some collectors, and I just so happened to find it for like $200 or $300 less than it was worth. The AI also informs, the AI in question, by the way, is Grok. Grok also informs me that this particular pen gains about $100 in value every year. By the way, they did a pretty good job hiding it, but back here, this is actually, it's not a filler. This is an eyedropper, so you have to pour the ink inside once you take the nib out. Does it? I forgot where it unscrews here. Is it this? Goodness, maybe not. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I just screwed it on too tight. So, how you fill this pen? So you take that off. You pour the ink in there, either with a syringe or an eyedropper. You reattach this, obviously holding it upright so the ink doesn't fall out. Once it is reattached, you have a plug here, and you tighten the plug as the ink flows down into a small reservoir right here. You tighten the plug. I might be going the wrong way. No, it's going the right way. And the plug will plug the large reservoir from the small reservoir, allowing you to potentially travel with this. However, I have a little bit of trouble, in particular with this pen, where something is loose or air is getting in some way or another. Supposedly, the people that sold it to me replaced the cork seal in the back with something latex or another type, and supposedly that's not it, but it drips. it drips a lot, and this plug is supposed to prevent that. Next time I ink, I will check it. Yes, I do ink all of my collector's pieces. All of my vintage have been inked, because what's the point of collecting a pen that is functional if you're not going to use it? And speaking of use, let's put these over here. One of the crowns. This is the Visconti Homo sapiens in Dark Age. It is volcanic lava resin. They mix the rock with resin. You can hear it's very hard. And this one, with the 18 karat Dream Touch, is a stub. Yes, I got lucky enough to find one of these, to negotiate the price down, and to get the Dark Age, which is, I think, the highest demand. Bronze Age is in pretty high demand too, but the Dark Age, I think, is the highest demand. I got it well under list, and the gentleman who sold it to me told me he had already sent it in to get the nib fixed, and apparently he just didn't like it, so he sold it for pretty cheap. Relatively. I mean, it was very, very expensive compared to a lot of these others. But I've gotten a lot of great deals on eBay just by being a little patient and looking for opportunity. Thank God I did not have to buy this at list price, because Visconti goes hard. So I have uncapped this a number of times. I wonder if it's going to write right away. It's very quiet. Dream Touch is actually accurate. Not to brag, but there's another Visconti Homo sapiens making its way to my house through the mail. This one is the stub. Let's see if I can get that without the reflection. Yeah, you can see the very sharp edges on it, and it's so smooth. Just so you know, it is amazing. Let me mute the task cam just so I can talk without the echo. Let's bring the crab buddy a little closer here. There we go. But I was looking on eBay. First of all, I had multiple of these saved on eBay, and then I negotiated directly with the buyer, and when his auction failed to produce a single bid. We negotiated back and forth and came to a mutual agreement where I still bought it for like $200 or $300 under list, and he got $30 more than he would have if the minimum bid had happened in his auction. But he put it up for auction, nobody bid on it. So on the last day I said, hey bro, if you don't get any bids on this, I will give you $20 under what your minimum bid was. And he said, oh, okay, well, we'll see. And nobody bid. So he messaged me, hey, you still interested in the pen? I said, of course. It's going to be a very high interest item for me. So then he tried to talk me off of eBay. And that's a big no-no on eBay. eBay will block email addresses in personal messages so that you cannot message one another and get around eBay's fees. And I believe he had advertised on eBay, which is payable after the item sells. So that was a big no-no, and he kept trying to talk me off to Reddit or his personal email, and he kept like spacing out stuff and trying to get me to email him. But I did not fall for it because I did not trust him at the time. And I guess I could turn that back on a little bit so we can get a little ASMR going so you can fall asleep the rest of the way. I am going to turn that down though, so it's a little easier to talk. So I was then like, okay, I'll come up 50 from what I told him, so 30 above the minimum bid. And he's like, oh, okay, we'll do it on eBay then. All I had to do was take care of 60% of the eBay fee for him. And he's just like, oh, okay, we'll do it. And so we put it back up on eBay, and I got it that day. It was a couple hours of going back and forth between us. And when I got it, I still had multiple Viscontis on my follow list. And one of them was even lower than his lowest asking price. So I did some thinking. This is a stub, and it floods ink. It's very good at that. Like if you apply even a little pressure with the 18 karat, it's very soft and it will put down a lot of ink, which will ruin papers at my work. So I found one in ultramarine, which is almost lapis lazuli blue. And it's just so fun to touch. I'm sorry. I am petting it, yes. It's velvety. A velvety rock texture. Anyway, there's one in ultramarine. And it was coming to a close after a couple more days. But it was a medium, and I'm like, I betcha I can use a medium at work. Should I be taking a Visconti to work? Probably not. However, these pens are for writing, primarily. Collecting, secondarily, because I'm looking for more experiences with writing. And I loved this one so much. The way it wrote, the way it felt in the hand. It's heavy as a rock pen. So I bid on it, and I set my maximum, the same amount I paid for this one, and no one else bid on it. divine intervention. No one else bid on it, so it went for the lowest starting bid, which was mine. So now I have a second Visconti coming to my house, and this is another pen that I looked at and I was like, man, that's ridiculously expensive. Why would anybody pay for that? And now that I've tried it, I'm like, man, that's really good. It's a bit overpriced at list, but for a couple $100 off, it's worth it, definitely. And if you're looking for this kind of pen on sites like Goulet or Pen Chalet or Gold Spot or whatever, sure, you could go in at whatever the cost is, $800 or $900 US, or you can look for a used, new old stock, other types. Sometimes companies just want to get rid of them if they've been sitting around for a while, and they will put them on a secondary account and discount them just to get rid of the inventory. But it seems most of the time it's collectors that aren't in love with it anymore. Well, their loss. My gain could be your gain. So anyway, that's that. I actually have platinum carbon black in this one. And it's not as black as I wanted it to be. It's one of the blackest inks we have available to us as fountain pen users. But the Visconti, sometimes it doesn't put down a whole lot of ink, and so the ink, all fountain pen ink is semi-transparent, let's be honest. The fully not so transparent inks. Let's get the angle of this a little better so you can see maybe. Hello? Focus? Yeah. So you can see it's black. If the focus comes back, there it goes. You can see that it is black, and it is in fact very black. However, because of its nature, it is a little semi-transparent. And that, unfortunately, what an odd material. I love it so much. Yeah, unfortunately, I forgot what I was going to say. Whatever. That was the collection. And we are all set. Now, I will tell you fine folks that in the future I'll be selling some. However, I am not probably going to let y'all know who I am on eBay. Though I'm sure you could figure it out if you really wanted to. Because maybe that's weird. But yes, this is my collection. I use Crab to put my active pen on. It's not dedicated to the Visconti, not by any means. It's just the Visconti happens to be the crown of my collection so far, not because of price, but because of feel. It feels the best out of everything, and that's not a knock on Montblanc or Pelikan, both of which are Grail pens in their own right. One of my original Grail pens I still haven't acquired and may not at this point is a Pilot 823, and the Pilot 823 is half the price of one of these, hands down, and is often discounted well below. It's just I could never find a signature nib on an 823, which is a mini stub basically. I could never find it on eBay for the price that I wanted to pay. But perhaps someday I'll look at it or look for it. In the meantime, I'm actually going to expand the Pelikan collection a little bit more. I have an M400 in white and tortoise shell with a fine nib coming in the mail as well. An impulse purchase today after calculating some things. Basically, I had to dip into my inheritance because of my job not paying me on time. So, since the inheritance was already open and on the table, I was like, this is a really good deal. I'm gonna get that, and then I'll have it. So I'll have an M400 on the way. I have an M200 with a broad italic 200, fine 400, broad 800, and I'm looking at 600s to see if I can get the medium in a 600 and have a medium, because 600 is in between 400 and 800 in terms of size. Now, I don't know why they jump up quite as much as they do. The 800s, I wouldn't think, have that much more material in them. They do have an 18 karat nib instead of a 14 karat, but like, I have no idea how gold works or anything like that. So anyway, that was 48 minutes of me rambling, and you hopefully fell asleep a long time ago. But if you did not, I appreciate your comments on either pens or triggers you want to see or hear in the future. I am mulling over many things, many ideas in my mind that, if I can bend myself to the task, will produce some, I think, very nice roleplay ASMR in the future. Thank you, folks, if you made it this far. I am very happy to talk about pens, either in my Discord or in the comments. I will catch y'all